Welcome to part 6 and the final part of this large oil painting where I really wanted to challenge myself and create depth. I explained this in each of the videos, but the depth that I'm trying to go for is just kind of having a few of the aspects in doodles have either shadows or shading that kind of give it that 3D feel. So in a few of the kind of larger aspects like the house and that square with the cloud face and a lot of the triangles, I wanted to kind of give it that look that you're looking at it from a different angle than just straight on. And I wanted to keep it in my style as well. So I do have some of the shadows going different ways, some of it not really making sense. And I want to keep it like that, but yeah, this one I just really wanted to have a few parts that you can see that kind of dimensional feel. I really like how this one is looking so far. I think there's some cool spots. I really like the house. I kind of think it's cool how it kind of looks like it's getting dragged away. And this one made me realize that I want to have depth and more kind of realistic dimensions in all of my paintings going forward. And I think for the next one, not that I'm tired of this same kind of design where there's a few larger ones, but everything is kind of a similar scale in terms of size, but I think the next one I want to have a large aspect kind of taking over the painting. I really want to try, and I mentioned this in some of my past videos, but I want to try a painting where when you look at it, I want the person looking at the painting to see something first, and I want to know that one main aspect or detail of the painting is where people's eyes are going to go to first. So that's going to be a priority in my upcoming ones, and I think that'll kind of look cool with the depth as well. And I also think that using the shading and depth and colors is how I can actually create that feel of kind of being drawn into one specific part of the painting. At this stage of the painting, I'm doing a lot of lining, and usually at this part of the painting I'm doing lining and making everything crisp, but this is taking longer because when I'm going through and doing the lines, I'm also doing more shading. So instead of just doing a line and making it smooth, I'm trying to blend it in with some of the other color or see if there's any spots that the shading doesn't make sense or it's not giving it that dimensional feel that I want. And I'm wanting to do that in some of the smaller details as well. Some of them I did find get washed away. Like if I'm doing a darker shadow on a purple background. And I think a lot of that I'll learn over time with using lighter colors to give it that contrast that gives it the depth. But at the end of the day, I truly have no idea what I'm doing, and that's kind of what makes it fun. There's a lot of trying and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't, and not necessarily if it works or if it doesn't, but if it looks good and if I'm happy with how it looks. So a lot of it's just kind of trial and error and seeing what I like, and I find with every painting that I do, there's some kind of doodles or techniques that I use in the next one. And after about 10 paintings, I kind of realized that the next painting I do after those is just a combination of all those things, whether it's a design I like or a little doodle that I like or a way I did blending or a way that I was doing shading. And that's what's fun about being able to film and kind of see the process, is not only I can see the growth and kind of seeing my progress, but I can see which aspects I obviously really like doing and what techniques I like doing, because there'll be a central theme in a painting or something that I go to as a strategy to use up kind of some open space. I also really like using this lighter blue. I mentioned it before, but especially with the oil paint, I like using different shades of the same color. So I have 5 different kind of base blue colors, and some of them I'll add black or I'll add white and sometimes gray and just kind of see how it looks. But it's really interesting using different shades of the same color and just seeing how different they truly look. And it's kind of nice because I find it makes the painting look a little more intricate. And I know my paintings are extremely chaotic, but I am trying to be a little bit smarter with where I place colors. And if I have one large aspect, before I used to do it where I had little shading and doodles and textures within it, but some of them I do, but some of them I keep open, like the face on the blue square. I thought about adding a bunch of stuff in it, but then it kind of takes away from the large shape and the large kind of main aspect that I was having. So I'm learning to make things look detailed in a way that isn't cluttered. And I have a lot to learn about it because some of my paintings do look cluttered, but I think it is important to leave some spaces more plain so they really pop out. It's always interesting at this point of the painting. I think that I'm finished at some times or that I'm really close, but then I'll take a step back and I'll look and see that I actually have another whole color that I want to add in a bunch of different sections, or one area is looking a little bit too plain, or now that I'm adding depth, there's spots that I want to make look more 3D and using different colors like this green. I was gonna line it in black, but I thought the dark green would look good. That's another thing that's nice about mixing colors and blending colors, is if I use a lighter green mixed with white, then when I go and do the lining, I don't have to line it in black, but I can do it with the dark green and give it that feel. So I've been doing a lot of sketching to make the dimensions look more realistic, and I'm hoping it kind of translates to the painting soon. But it's been a lot of fun kind of seeing how it can make my paintings look so much more different. Like even with the Pac-Man kind of looking shape, I like how I did that one because it wasn't just areas that are thicker in the black paint, but I used some gray and some white to make the line kind of look like it's a proper shape that you'd see 3D. So there's some areas like the blue square that didn't go as 3D as I thought, because I kind of ended up doing the lining all around it. So it's kind of tough to see it from as if you're looking at an angle. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of these paintings, and that's why I like painting every day, is because I can take what works and learn from what kind of doesn't work or doesn't really give the result that I wanted. I'd also love to hear any feedback on the videos themselves. I'm still very new to kind of all this, painting included and the videos included, so I'd love to hear if you like the camera angle or if you want it closer or further, and if you like the ones where I talk. I do some paintings where I have the whole series without talking and just kind of have it with music, and then I have ones like this where I explain the whole process. And yeah, I'd love to hear any feedback on if you want less talking and maybe just talking throughout about a third of the video here and there, or if you like ones like this where most of the video I'm talking. I'm always looking to see what works and see what doesn't. And as always, I'll do a time lapse for this one too. I usually break it up into parts or then do one at the very end. I just started doing that where I put all the time-lapse pieces together and you can kind of see it all at once, and I usually make it around 20 times speed. So I like seeing those because you can see how it comes together. I sometimes do these paintings over about 2 or 3 weeks. Sometimes I'll have more than one going, but it's kind of cool to see how I know how long it took, and kind of seeing it compressed is a interesting perspective. So now I'm still doing lines. I've kind of alternated between white and black for the lining and shading. I think over time, as I do more of these paintings with depth, I'll not do black lines throughout the whole thing, but I'll kind of learn to have more gray. And I think not necessarily just black and white or gray, but like I mentioned with the green, other colors that can be used as darker or lighter to give that shading. So this kind of painting really makes me excited because it looks slightly different than mine. I know if you look at all my paintings, you might think it looks pretty similar, and I guess if you're looking at it like that, it kind of is, but for me, I can tell the difference because I see a few aspects that are completely different, to my eye at least. And like I've mentioned, I'm extremely beginner and untrained, so I'm just kind of messing around and seeing what works. But personally, I like the things like the house. I know I've mentioned that in this video before, but I think when I was looking at creating the depth, that's what I was thinking of, is you can see it from the front, you can see it from the side. I like the eye, like this little jellyfish, that I used the white to make the purple brighter and created more of that kind of 3D feel. And there's a few other parts that I look at and I'm quite happy with, like the Pac-Man shape, some of the triangles I really like, and also just kind of combining different colors and using different colors that I enjoyed, like the lighter green and the lighter blue. It always motivates me when I'm doing these, especially when I'm finishing them up, because I'm starting a new one soon and I know that. So then I always think about what colors I want to be as a main kind of aspect, or what things I can do differently. So now I'm just putting on the initials and it is finally done. Let me know what you think. If you like this one, if you have any ideas for future videos or paintings, I'd love to hear them. So thank you for watching, and I'll be posting a time-lapse video of this one soon.